Hello guys, in this series of tutorial we are building this sales order application, and what we have done so far is that we have created our application and we have populated the sales order in the master screen. And when we select a sales order on the left hand side in the master, we take that information, we navigate to the detail page, and we display our information over here in the detail page. So so this is what we have done so far. And now what we will be doing is we'll be extending this application further, where I'm going to display more information about the sales order. So here I have displayed this header information which we have retrieved earlier. Now I will extend this application further and I will display more information like the admin data or the business partner details. So earlier, um, what we did is that we retrieve our data based upon this particular function module which had the structure BAPI EPM SO header. So here we had the sales order information and we have this buyer ID, but we did not have more information about the buyer contact details and so on. So what I will be doing is I'll be extending the backend functionality first, where I will extend the OData service which we have created to extend this sales order functionality to give this business partner information as well. So we will basically see the concept of creating the association in the backend system and retrieving the information through association. So I will retrieve this business partner information and I will give it to the UI. So in the first step, we will extend our gateway service. Then later on, we will move on to our UFI application and we will consume the data and will display this information. So now for me to display the sales order supplier information over here, I need to extend my service to display that information. So the supplier information which we are looking for is available inside this structure, inside this table, what we are going to call it as SNWD underscore BPA. So here we are going to have this sales order, sorry, buyer information, sorry, the supplier information. Okay, so here we are going to have this address details and so on, which I'm going to display it in the UI. So to get this functionality, we already have this buyer ID here in our sales order, which with which I'm going to retrieve this information and we're going to display it. So okay, so here you have this by business partner ID with which we are going to get this business partner information and we are going to display that details. So first thing, what we'll do is we will just check the service that we have created so far. So I will go on to this, and so what we have created so far is that we have created this sales order set entity, and whenever I'm trying to consume this entity details, it is going to give me the list of sales orders that are available. So we have restricted to certain limit. So here you can see the sales order information displayed. So also you can see that if I wanted to read an individual sales order, so I can pass the key field information and I can get that values. So whenever I'm going to select the data from here, I'm going to take one sales order and further in the detail screen, I'm going to display that information about that particular sales order. So it is important that we read the information about one single sales order, and right now it is not giving any details because we have not implemented the get entity set method yet. So we will go to the class and we will implement this sales order get entity set method in order to get this information about the sales order. So now we know that there is a importing parameter called IT underscore key tab, which is going to bring in the key fields information. And by reading the key field, I'm going to get the sales order details. So I will create a work area of this particular type in order to read the key field information. So I'm going to say read table LT underscore IT underscore E underscore tab and into ls underscore key underscore tab with key name is equal to So I'm going to read the sales order ID field, and if that sales order ID field is available, then what I will be doing is I'm going to get this information about the sales order. So to get the information about the sales order, we have a function module where earlier we used this get list to get this sales order details, and in the same function group we have another function module called BAPI EPM SO get detail, where it takes the sales order ID as an importing parameter and it gives the header structure. So the system expects the importing parameter to be available in this format, where this is a structure where it has this component called sales order ID. So I'm going to pass the information in that structure ls underscore so underscore id, which is of type this, and ls underscore so underscore id hyphen. The sales order id is nothing but whatever the key field that I'm going to pass, I'm going to take that information and I'm going to put it over here. Then I will, and if you see here, there are like only about 9 digits available over here, whereas the sales order field is character 10. So we will unpack this value. So I will call this function module conversion exit alpha input, and I will just unpack this value, and then I will call this function module BAPI EPM so get detail in order to get that sales order information. So I'll pass the structure ls underscore so underscore id, and I'm going to get this header data, which is I'm going to put it into this ER entity exporting parameter. So since those two are of same structure, we are directly passing the values over here. So by passing this sales order ID, we are getting this sales order details into this ER underscore entity, and we are passing it as an output. So we will activate this, and I'll put a breakpoint here. Now we will trigger this service once again. So first thing what we are doing is we are getting reading this key field information, and then we are just unpacking this value, and we are passing to this function module, and we are getting this entity information. So I have the sales order detail ready. Now from this sales order, I wanted to get this business partner value, that is this buyer ID. And for that buyer ID, I need to get this corresponding details like what is this email address, fax, and so on. So to get that, what we are going to do is we are going to create an association, basically a navigation path, using which we are going to trigger this business partner entity, and we are going to get that information. So what I will do is I will go back to the service, and I'm going to create one more entity by importing a dictionary structure, and I'm going to name that entity as business partner, and I'm going to create it with reference to this table snwd underscore bpa. So I click on next, and I choose all the fields. I click on next, and here in the key field information, I'm going to map it with that of this business partner ID, and I will click on finish. So now a business partner entity and its corresponding entity set has been created. Now what I wanted to do is I'm going to create an association to read this business partner information. So to do that, what I will do is I'm going to create an association here from the sales order, with which I'm going to connect to business partner and get the business partner information. So here the sales order entity will be my principal entity, and the business partner entity will be my dependent entity, where from the sales order I'm reading this business partner information. So to create this association, I will just go here, and I'm going to create an association here, the data model. I will give a name to this association, and in the principal entity I will map it to the sales order, and in the dependent entity I will map it to the business partner, and I'm going to specify that these two are related to each other in a cardinality 1:1. That is for one sales order, that is going to be one business partner, and I'm going to give a navigation property which I'm naming it as BP, and I click on next. Then what is the key field with which I wanted to map. So I will take the sales order information through which I'm going to map it to this BP, and I click on next and I click on finish. So now you can see that in the sales order entity, navigation property and navigation relationship has been created, and with this navigation relationship we are going to go to this business partner entity and we are going to get that information. So an association also been created over here. So we will save this and we will regenerate our service for the changes to take place. So our logic shouldn't be affected with this regeneration because we are writing our logic in DPC extension class, where you can see only this DPC class is being generated. So now if I go back and if I run my service again, there should not be any so whatever the logic that we have implemented has been executed and we are able to see that information. Now think the changes reflect here yet. So now we could see that two entity sets are available, and if I read the sales order set, then I could see that the sales order ID is available here. Also, you could see that there is also a navigation which was created to the create this business partner information. So if I read only this particular path, that is with the sales order ID, I'll get this sales order detail here. And now you can see that from the sales order detail which we have obtained, we can also further navigate to this business partner association that we have created and read that association information. So if I try to read this now, it is going to say me that the business partner get entity method is not implemented. So what we will do is we will go to our class, and in the inherited method, now we can, so I'll open this once again. Okay, so it is available here. So I could see that um, this method get business partner get entity is available over here. So I will go on the change mode and I will redefine this method, and inside this method I'm going to implement my logic. So I will put a breakpoint over here so to see what are the key field information that we are getting inside. So when I trigger this request now, it should go inside this method as we have implemented it. And we will check this local variable that are coming as an importing parameter. So in the key tab, we could see that the sales order ID has been imported over here. So based upon the sales order ID, what we will do is we will just read the business sales order detail. From there, we'll get the business partner ID, and for that business partner ID, we will get this information. So Going back to the code. So to read this key field information, I'm going to create a work area for that. So we have read this key field information, and now with this key field information, I'm going to read the sales order detail. So now that we have already implemented this get entity method, instead of calling the function module and reading the value again, we can um, directly read the value from here. So to get the sales order detail, what we can probably do is we can directly trigger this method where I'm going to say call method me. In my class there is a method for sales order get entity, to which I'm going to pass these parameters iv underscore entity name, iv underscore entity set name, and who's the source of triggering this. This is a place where I'm triggering this, and whatever the key field, then whatever is the navigation path. So these are the mandatory parameters to pass, and I will get the value here as ns underscore su underscore header, and I will declare it as data ls underscore su header type bpm underscore su underscore app underscore bpm underscore su header. So now by calling this get entity method, I am reading this sales order information, and from this sales order information, I'm going to have this business partner ID over here, which I will retrieve it as select single star from snwd underscore bpa is the table, where I'm going to put this value into er underscore entity, and I'm going to specify the where condition as business partner ID is equal to ls underscore so underscore header hyphen buyer ID. So by passing this ID, I'm going to get this information and I'm going to put it into this particular structure. So we'll check this, activate it. So now if I run this service, so first thing what we are going to do is we are going to get the sales order information, where I got the sales order information by reading that entity. Then with this buyer ID, I'm going to get the business partner detail into this ER entity, which is going to expose this information about this buyer. So we have now obtained this buyer information. So we have enabled our service that in such a way, when I'm going to read a sales order item, sales order, when I'm going to read a sales order, for that particular sales order, we are also going to get a business partner detail by extending to this navigation path slash BP. So we have created an association, and through that association, we are retrieving this information. So in the next step, what we will do, we will modify our UI application where we will consume this business partner detail and we will display this information on the UI. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day.